I was always drawing from a very young child, and I always knew I wanted to draw and write, or paint and write. And I needed to get out of the country. I needed to get out of a very chauvinistic environment in art schools in the 70s, because I then got a painting scholarship to Mexico, a British Council thing. So I did a postgraduate there. I thought, I'm going to go where I really want to be in terms of colour and themes. The whole tonal effect of everything was totally different. Every colour was used in much deeper, at a much deeper level. So instead of putting all the very obvious complementaries and knocking them off against each other, you get sort of deep chocolates and burnt siennas with deep viridians and cobalts and Nile greens, and then you get a bit of neon orange coming through at the same time. It's just a wonderful sort of cacophony, but which worked beautifully. So this is a journey we took up into the mountains. The road just passed through and past a huge waterfall with several women and children bathing there, and totally nude, totally unworried. And it was just a wonderful way into this village, and I have never forgotten that. The brain's camera sort of, obsessively going back to various images. It's a state of the world. You look at a sky, you've got an abstract painting by a big hand, we don't know whose hand. You look at a tiny, intricate flower, and you've got a very intricate piece of linear drawing by possibly the same hand, or possibly there are many hands at work in the universe, who knows. And I've never wanted to do anything politically in imagery. I've been on marches and I've paid banners and made things, and I will subscribe to various causes, and I have quite strong views, sort of politically, but which I don't carry out in painting. I've always been trying to find really the sort of rather romantic ideal of beauty, not necessarily beauty in a person or something, but beauty in nature, or in the intricacy of something, or in the play of light, and to actually extract that and try and put it on canvas or on something that you can still put on a wall, and that you can get some kind of comfort or solace or buzz from. I think my aim is to try and get something that has been intensely felt, a sensation that you can try and feed into this fabulous medium of paint, which is actually so difficult to get to work in the way you want it to work. I suppose I've got two strands going. One of them is just a sort of condensation of sensations that you get when you're trying to extract something from landscape, or from a vision of something, or from a corner of a market, or a couple of people. And that's my main, I suppose that's always been my main focus, is to try and sort of condense something and give an essence of that vision. I think in Britain, yes, my palette changes quite a lot, although it was modified slightly by coming through France, because I lived in France for 7 years or so. So there have been a Mexican, a French, and an English phase. I'd never actually been in contact with English landscape in the past, in my youth. I was always a Londoner. It was always far too expensive to go and stay anywhere in England. Yes, this lot around me here are based on a little path down a stile. They're recent. They're based on Sussex, just very, very local. Sort of springtime, just after or just around the time the rapeseed fields are sort of neon yellow, and I think the greens of Sussex are more distinct. Like sort of a field of one colour and a field of another, and just a beautiful sort of richness of green. The landscape, that last stretch, if you're on the Charing Cross line, is so beautiful. And then when you drive out and you walk out, all these beautiful lanes. So I really started to do a series of Sussex lanes and things. I've got drawings of them, and the landscape, the topography is much more intimate. The hills and valleys and twists and curves are what make it very interesting, and the light very interesting, and the space very interesting. They're about sort of idyls, I suppose. They've always got, I suppose most of my paintings have got some kind of an exit route. I think probably because I'm slightly claustrophobic, there's always got to be a way out of a painting. I want people to get into them, but they have got a route out. every time I start a new canvas, I think, God, I'm going to make something completely new. I'm about to start something completely new. And then suddenly something rather invisible starts to come in, and it's some kind of invisible template that comes in and tells you to tighten this up or to balance that out. I suppose part of one's own inner sense of balance and one's own inner sense of composition. I sometimes think I need a lot more time to be able to see what happens if I smash that out of the way and say, no, you are not going down this path, just go totally against it. And I've probably done that in the past a few times, but I've also found, well, if the painting's telling me to do this, maybe I'll do it, because paintings do tell you what to do after a while. So I'll be doing coastal currents this September. I think I'm going to be working on trying to expand the poured technique that I'm doing, letting the paint do its own work. Yeah, I was just starting this, and it's about dappled light. It's about dappled light in the Sussex lanes, you know, sort of on the way down to Fairlight, perhaps, and all these overriding, very mature now trees, but very young leaves, beautiful colours, just strobe lighting your path as you go through. And I wanted to try and get that feeling, which is a little bit like a sort of fairy story. So I suppose for me, I'm fairly pagan, but I do see there is an extremely clever entity out there who has created this incredibly imaginative and very, very brilliant entity in this world, who has created what we are looking at in nature, and what all living creatures are like. And so I feel that if you're trying to bottle a bit of the essence of that in your painting in a sort of humble way, because you don't ever get there, but you try. And so if you can bottle a bit of that, you're making little icons about. So these are just from walking and coming back and taking photographs and then painting from them. They have to be my photographs and they have to be my experience of it. This one is another little lane. I've been obsessed with Sussex lanes, so that's a very inky, linear one. And I called most of these twisters or Sussex lanes of different sorts. And so this is a romantic Hastings couple. Here's another one at the supermarket. Probably doing two things at the same time, the figurative stuff and the abstract stuff. Showing when you feel you've got something to show is quite satisfying but quite daunting, because you're hoping for critical comment and for constructive critical comment.